All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a global energy giant that's facing a real moment of truth. You see, Indonesia is an absolute powerhouse in the world's coal market, but the ground is, well, it's shifting beneath its feet. So, what's the plan? First, let's just wrap our heads around the scale here. Indonesia is the world's fourth largest coal producer. And that's not just some random statistic, right? It means the decisions made there sent huge ripples across global energy, international trade, and of course, its own economic future. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to get inside the strategic thinking of the industry's top leaders to really understand how they're planning to navigate this period of massive, massive change. This is their playbook. So the first major pressure point. It's coming from the outside. The global market for coal just isn't what it used to be, and Indonesia is smack dab in the middle of this transformation. What we're seeing is kind of like a tale of two markets playing out in real time. On one hand, you've got the traditional giants, think China and India, where demand is shifting. They're boosting their own production and leaning more into cleaner energy. But then, on the other hand, new doors are swinging open. Demand is actually growing in other emerging Southeast Asian markets, and, this is crucial, right at home, inside Indonesia's own booming industries. So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When your biggest customers start changing their buying habits, how does an entire industry, a massive one at that, pivot? Well, the answer isn't just about finding new buyers. It's also about looking inward. And that brings us perfectly to the second major pressure point, Indonesia's own complex, always evolving domestic policies. And trust me, this is where things get really interesting. Okay, let's dive into this for a second. A super critical piece of this whole puzzle is something called the Domestic Market Obligation, or DMO for short. So what is it? Essentially, it's a government rule that forces coal producers to sell a certain chunk of their product inside Indonesia, and often at a fixed lower price. And why would they do that? Simple, to keep the lights on and to fuel the country's own industrial growth. So who's actually using all this domestic coal? Well, it's not just power plants. Demand is absolutely surging from heavy industries like mineral smelters, cement factories, you name it. Pulp and paper mills, too. You have to understand, Indonesia is literally building its future, and it's using its own coal to get it done. So you've got this global squeeze on one side and this domestic maze on the other. Faced with all this, the industry isn't just sitting back and waiting. No way. It's actively writing a brand new playbook for resilience and hopefully growth. Now, the core strategy, and this is coming straight from the CEOs themselves, it really boils down to a three-step process. First up, optimize what you already do. Make those mining operations and logistics as lean and efficient as humanly possible. Second, you expand downstream. Start turning that raw coal into higher value products like coke for making steel. And third, and this is the big one, you diversify. This means looking way beyond coal into totally new sectors, everything from strategic minerals to renewable energy. And that big picture strategy translates into some very real, concrete actions. Companies are shifting their focus to more valuable coking coal. They're investing a ton of money into the infrastructure. We're talking railways, ports, the whole logistical chain needed to move it efficiently. And all the while, they're trying to strike this incredibly difficult balance between those profitable exports and the mandated domestic sales. The end goal here? To create a much more resilient business that isn't just a supplier of raw materials, but a truly diversified industrial player. You know, a recent statement from an industry panel just captured the mission perfectly. They said it's all about building resilience amid evolving policies and the energy transition. See, this isn't just about surviving day to day. It's about fundamentally adapting to a world that is changing all around them. So where does this all lead? I mean, when you put it all together, the market pressures, the domestic rules, the industry's new playbook, what is the actual endgame for Indonesian coal? This right here. This is the essential tightrope that Indonesia has to walk. On one side, you have its urgent national priorities, energy security, industrial growth, and the economic stability that coal provides. But on the other side, you've got these immense global pressures, the big energy transition, evolving export markets, and shifting climate policies. The whole challenge is just walking that line, trying to satisfy both domestic needs and global expectations. Which leaves us with this final, central question. Can Indonesia use its greatest natural resource to power its own development, while at the same time adapting to a world that's fundamentally rethinking its entire relationship with that very same resource? That, right there, is the strategic crossroads it's standing at today.